This is going to look much faster on the internet, but in real time it's been 75 years. I know I might not look it, but I'm very old now. The year is 2093. Crypto is king. Our president is a plant. Hello, friends, and welcome to Tech Week. It's actually not that bad. That's just a theater term for Tech Week. But if you've ever worked in theater, you know that it is very stressful, thus the name. Which is where we find ourselves for a production of Winnie the Pooh with our friends at the Lafayette Society for Performing Arts. This is not the Disney version of Winnie the Pooh. No Tigger, no red t-shirt. This is based on the Milne book, so we have the freedom to reinvent if we like. The beginning of our play is about A.A. Milne himself and how he brought these stories into the world before we roll into the actual story of Winnie the Pooh. And in between these two tales, there's a little musical transition set to Kenny Loggins' Back to Pooh Corner. In that moment, we get to set up the 100-acre wood. I've been given the freedom and the opportunity to create this moment, and there's a puppetry style that I've wanted to use for my entire career that has finally found a home here. And that is the art of Bunraku. If you're not familiar with it, it is an incredible example of teamwork in puppetry. I'm so excited I finally get to do it! We need to build a specialty puppet for this, and that is today's project. We are going to make a Winnie the Pooh that will come to life with the 100-acre wood at this particular point in the show. Audrey and I are going to be working on two versions of Pooh. One of them is the puppet, and the other is a matching stuffed animal as a prop through the show. So I'm starting with something that I very rarely work with, and that is a pattern, which has the bear in two different sizes. We're gonna make the larger one. We're gonna have to make some changes to the pattern to make it work as a puppet, but we'll get to that in a little while. I have this great fabric I bought at this wonderful place called Fine Fabrics in Atlanta. I have built a puppet Winnie the Pooh before for D23. This is going to be something totally different, so I'm going to be learning as I go. I'm used to freehanding things, but Audrey says this is the right way. Sure takes a long time though. I think this is going to be too huge.
Because I was getting nervous. I was like, he feels really big, and then you wanted to make the arms longer, and I was like, he's going to be enormously huge.
So I've got to do
the other side. I'm sorry, you got to cut out my pieces.
What I get. That's why I don't use patterns.
The patterns are great.
Oh boy. So all jokes aside, I really have nothing against patterns. It's just a little tricky to get your brain to flip after doing something the same way for 17 years. So I did eventually get him all cut out, and I passed the pieces over to Audrey to work her magic. It's been about a day and a half since last we spoke, and many things have happened. Check this guy out. This is going to be the stuffed version of Pooh. Audrey got this guy together so we could take him to rehearsal, and I could talk with our kiddos about where rods are placed in his arms, etc. So this guy got to be the crash test dummy for the next guy. Wasn't totally the intention. We wanted to have both of them there yesterday, but time is a thing. Now that I have all that information about what works, what doesn't, I can make some changes. Let me show you what we're doing. So the legs I'm pretty happy with. I just want to add an inch here, and then with the arm, I want to add just another inch.
So I would add 1.5 inches because I'm going to round the top of it off to make them cute, and that extra 1/2 inch will give me something to work with.
Another change we're making is attaching the arms on the outside rather than catching it in this next seam to give him a little more flexibility once there's an arm rod in there. Okay, so it has been a minute since last we spoke. I'm trying to finish 20 other things before we head out for the week. But Audrey has been sewing away, and I've got his body here as well as his head. We've separated these two pieces to give this part mobility in a way that the teddy bear does not have. So as Audrey wraps up the last arm in there, I'm going to start working on his internal structure. And that structure is going to be made from these plastic shapes that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. And I cut a hole in it that this piece of dowel is going to mount to. That will go inside his head to hold this nice and sturdy. Same with the body. We use an egg shape and a piece of dowel. I don't usually worry about making this part pretty because if I do it correctly, I'll never have to see it again. Before we put these in, I always tape off the rods. Helps with grip against splinters, helps them kind of disappear. You could also paint, but I am not a patient man. You will still need some more stuffing, but for now, get a kind of idea where we're going here. As disturbing as this is, I think it's good. So, as usual with these kinds of videos, towards the end, I get too excited and I don't show every step, and here we are again. With the exception of his leg rods. All of his rods have been installed. I'm gonna work on that now, and this guy will be ready for the show. I'm excited too. For his rod, sometimes simplest is better. I tried to use a proper puppet rod, but one of my kiddos suggested popsicle sticks. So I have these giant paint stirrer sized popsicle sticks. This piece is gonna glue to this, and then this will glue inside his foot. At long last, here he is. It does take 3 performers to operate him correctly, so I can't properly demonstrate, but here's a rough idea. All right, buddy, let's head to the theater. It's now the week of the show, so we are on our way to our home for the next week, LSPA. So I've got my setup here with all the puppets, butterflies, water bottle birds, dragonflies. They don't spend much time on stage, but I really like these guys. This is where I'm stationed during the show, in case anybody breaks something, which luckily has not happened yet, but it's still early. Anyway, I think you've waited long enough. There goes Audrey. Love you. It is time for the final reveal of Winnie the Pooh. As much as I would love to play this whole sequence for you, I'm just gonna hit some highlights. And also, YouTube won't let me. If I play the actual song, my video will get flagged and no one will ever see this. I've worked too darn hard for that, so I just wanted to show off all of the work that these kids put into this sequence. It's something I'm very proud of, something outside of my comfort zone. I feel like I pulled off pretty well. I mean, look at that little dude. And that's that. It's been about 2 weeks since the show, and I'm still recovering. I appreciate you following along on the journey. Maybe I was at least a little entertaining along the way. Hit subscribe, hit like, do all those things you're supposed to do on the YouTube. It helps the channel, so I hear. And I will see you on the next Puppety adventure.